All right, let's get into texturing some of these assets from my scene, the post-apocalyptic classroom. This is the teacher's desk right here. And we're going to make this easy on ourselves using a lot of Smart UV Project. So that's the object right there. Just make sure any modifiers are applied that are important, like the bevel modifier. I'm going to select that. And what I'll usually do is press M, merge by distance, just to make sure there's no straight vertices. And I'm going to press U, Smart UV Project. I'm going to use 003, it's the island margin, press OK. And I'll get this. And then I'm going to pack, and I'll use UV Pack Master, but you can use anything. You can use Blender, is all I'm saying. Okay, so I've got that. That looks okay. All right, so now I'm going to save that as an FBX and bring it into Substance Painter. Here is the desk. It's time to now bake the mesh maps. I'll do this at 2K. I'll uncheck ID and thickness, and I don't really need to mess with ambient occlusion or anything else. So that is going to be probably good enough for that. Okay, so what I want to do here is I want to create a wood-like material that I can use again and again through many of my assets that require wood. And so we're going to build it one time here, and then it'll be pretty easy after that, but it's going to take a little while to build this. So I printed out the values that I want to use, the numbers for my for all the parameters here in the layer stack. And so I'm going to be referring to a clipboard here of stuff, and I want it to be pretty much the same. So I'm going to create a fill layer, and this is going to be my, I'll call this my base. Come into the properties, I'm going to alt click color. I think I'll do roughness as well. I'm going to bring the roughness up to about 0.8. And the color, I want to type in these numbers. So this is going to take a little bit of time and be a little bit slow. So for the red, it's going to be 0.2. And green here, I'm going to have 0.115. And for the blue, 0.046. Okay, so I'm starting to get that. And I'll do HSV, and it's going to be 0.074 and 772. At the end there, 772 and 0.2. That's fine. So we're starting with that, and that's my base color. All right, now I'm going to add a folder actually, and I'm going to call this wood post-apocalyptic classroom wood pack. Right, that's going to go in the folder. Above this, I'm going to add another fill layer, and this is going to be a clouds 2. Come in here, I'm going to use just color for this one, and I want specific values. So like I say, this is the part that's going to take a little while. 0.297, 0.174, 0.74. And you don't have to be exact. You can just use your intuition and get something that's a little bit lighter, but I want to get this the same. So 0.0075, 0.75, and 0.297. That's fine. So there should be a slight difference in these. All right, I'm going to add a black mask now and a fill. Go into the properties and the grayscale. I'm going to come over to my procedurals, and I want clouds 2. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to pull that over there. As you see, a slight change has occurred. I'll just turn that on and off. So a slight change has occurred there. So come into the properties here, and I want a balance of, I'm going to use 0.08. It's very 0.08 And for the contrast, I'm going to use 0.5. Scroll down to noise parameters. I'm going to change the scale to 2, so just a little bit, and I'm going to bring the disorder to 0.12. Okay, so we'll get some little splotches of something there. And I'm going to change the blend to 76. All right, that's my clouds 2 layer. I've got 5 more layers to go, but you'll start seeing how this comes together. And like I say, I can reuse this on the other ones. Now, so this is wood, and so I'm going to add a little bit of grain. I just don't want too much grain. So I'm going to add a fill layer, and I'm going to call this anisotropic noise or whatever. All right, and I'm going to use just color on this one again, so it's a question of changing these values and then doing a little bit more. 0.29 here. .16 and 0.08. And then over here on the H, we're going to have 0.66. Okay, 0.714. 0.29. Okay, that's fine. So we're getting this darker one here. And we're going to add a black mask now and a fill, and I'm going to search for anisotropic, and it's right here. We're going to drag that over so you start to see what this is doing. And I'm going to go for a balance of 0.35. Okay, we're going to leave the rest of that. And I want to blur that out. And I may do a little change for the ends. So we're going to look at that in just a minute. This will start to look better soon. I'm going to add a filter. And the filter is going to be a blur directional. And I'll use an intensity of 1.73 and an angle of 0. Okay, now, all right, we'll keep going, and then we'll come back to that. Okay, we're just about halfway through. Another fill layer with color, and this one is going to be a dirt layer. And let's do the colors. 0.35. All for all of these. Okay, I'm not going to worry about these ones. And now I'm going to add a black mask and a generator. And I'm going to use a dirt generator. Dirt level, I'm going to use 0.75. Contrast, 0.3. Yeah, okay. The grunge amount, I'm going to change to 0.28. And the scale I'm going to leave at 4. So let's see how visible that is to you. Not very much, but it's darkening up the wood that I need. I need that there. Okay. Sorry, a quick change on the anisotropic noise. I'm going to come back down here, and I want to, up here, I want to change the scale to 2. Forgot about that. And I want to rotate this by 90. And that's looking okay. I might change that back to 0. No, I want that at 90. Okay, so this is looking fine to me so far. This is what we're getting. All right, so we're going to carry on. That is our dirt layer there. Nothing else to change. Okay, a few more layers and we will have what we want. So we're going to do another fill layer. This is going to be B&W black and white spots 1. Come in here, I want just the color, and the parameters are the following. .017, and I believe I'm going to be using that all throughout. 017, 017. Yeah, so we're going to get a nice dark one. And we'll use 00 and 0.17. Okay, that's an easy one. Okay. All right, so black mask, fill, and we're going to be using B&W spots 1, right? Yes. Okay, drag that over, and you'll start to see where we're getting at with this stuff. All right, so we're going to use, in this case, black and white spot. I'm going to change the scale. We'll try 2. That looks good to me. And we'll come down, balance of 0.14. It's going to be very faint. We'll try a contrast of 0. And let's just play with this a little bit. I'm just going to bring it up as a little bit more. Almost double that. So we get these splotches on there. All right, but we'll put this blend here at 45. So it's just in there. Good. All right, that's black and white spots 1. I'm going to actually duplicate that layer to make things a little quicker. And we're going to use spots 2, black and white spots 2. And we'll have to change the color values to just 0.27. Just a slight variation of that. .27, and all those can stay the same, which is nice. And we'll add our black mask fill. We're going to use black and white spots 2 on this one. All right, we're getting to where we want to be. And we're going to put the balance here at 0.33. That's certainly not what we want. 0.33. We'll leave the contrast at 0. All right, one more layer to finish this off. Okay, so one more fill layer with the color. Three, 2, 4, 218, 218, 01, 51, 0.218. That's better. 0.159. That's good enough like that. All right, this is the color that I want. I'm going to add a black mask and add a generator, and the generator is going to be metal edges. So we'll start getting this. Now we're not going to stay like that. All right, and wear level 0.47. Contrast at 0. grunge amount I'm going to increase to 0.56, and the grunge scale I'm going to put at 1. Check that. That's what we're going for. However, I'm not crazy about the edges unless you're going for a stylized view, so we're going to do something to change that in just a moment. On top of this, I'm going to add a filter, and it's going to be a sharpen filter now. Watch this here. That's what I'm going for. Almost like scratches in there. Okay. I'm going to leave that at 1. And now we're going to make some changes to this with painting. All right, I'm going to add a paint layer, and I'm going to switch to the dirt brush, dirt 1. And if I leave this at white, I will create more. If I press X, it goes to dark, and I'm going to sort of paint over the edges on a lot of this and really reduce this effect. All right, so this will take me a moment as I paint out this stuff and just leave some of this, these sort of worn scratches. All right, and then, like I say, we'll be able to reuse this wood on most of our assets. At least our assets that require wood. And there's quite a lot of wood in this scene. I mean, all of the desks are wood, although there is some metal as well, which will be quite easy to do. So I'm just going to do this quick, and I might, if I was doing this on my own, I would take a little bit more time, but I don't want to take up too much of your time or too much of the video time. So we're just going to do this, and you know, that looks good for a stylized kind of view, but if you want it to look a little bit more realistic, like, you know, wood, I do want some of those highlights as if it got banged up. You know, I just don't want too much, and just do it like that. You know, because the highlights, they do look good. They look like the wood has been impacted and you know, and scraped up. I'll look on the top. Let's get rid of some of those. And this layer, although we're going to make a smart material, this layer would have to be changed for each asset. So we'll probably look at one of those. So I won't go for too long. You can always, you know, change this again if you want to. But this is our material there. Again, if I press X, I can put that stuff back in. So that is the kind of wood that I'm going for in this scene, where the grain is not overly visible, and therefore it makes it a lot easier to put on various assets, which I'll show you. I'll just call this, I'll call it edges. That's what it really was. I may put one more dirt layer on here. I'll just go ahead and add it. I'll do color only for this, and just use a dirt generator just to throw some in, you know, almost like ambient occlusion in there. And I'm going to do that, and I'll leave it at that, even though we already have other dirt. Just do that. And I'm going to save this. Okay. So now that we've done that, I want to save this for reuse, although I might put metal in there. So what I'll do is, with it in a folder and with a unique name, I'm going to right click and create smart material, and that is now saved. So if I was to come back to the beginning and have only that and drag that in, that would come on, and I would have my material ready. I think I'll do these knobs in metal, and so I'm going to come to my materials. I'm not sure if it's under materials or smart materials. Metal, I want iron. Oh yeah, I think it's a smart material. This iron old, I believe that comes with Substance Painter. I'm not certain. I'm going to drag that up above. I'm going to add a black mask, come to my projection, choose mesh, and choose that knob and that knob. And that's the teacher desk. And that's all I'm going to do for this asset. So I'm going to save that. Now over here, you should change that as, you know, give it the material name if you didn't already. I will call it that. I'm not going to export that into Blender right now. I'm going to come back to Blender, and I'm going to go back in, and let's do, so you can see I've already gotten rid of the array. Let's have a look at the teacher, at the student desk and chair. All right, now I worked on this already, and I put seams on this one, and I will be using a lot of Smart UV Project, but on this particular one I put a seam down the middle on the inside of this bar, just one seam that goes around. So for each bar, I put one seam. So you can see I put on the underside there. I'll come to the other side. Now I could have mirrored this across. So there's the seam in the middle of this bar, and there's a seam. And of course, to make a seam, you just select an edge, right? And you go Control E, mark seam. So I did that for the bars and the underside there. Same for the chair. There's a seam that goes around there, and for the other leg. And then this bar that goes around the back, I just came to the underside somewhere. Actually, I put it here. And put a seam down there, and that comes all the way down and around the middle piece, and it goes back up. And that's the metal stuff. Now on the ends of these are, I capped that and beveled it, so the seam comes up on the inside and it gets to the top, and then I selected this top face and I marked seam there and there. All right, so that's it for the bars. Okay, let's have a look at the desk. I beveled this by hand, and I beveled it with 3. This top big N-gon here, I shift and alt that and marked a seam. I did the same for the bottom. And then I just came around and I selected the middle of my 3 segments in my bevel. Mark seam, mark seam, mark seam, mark seam. That's how I did that. This piece was a little weirder to do, and so I just selected the outer one, which went all the way around, mark seam. The inner one, which went from here all the way up to there, I did that. Then I selected the middle. I'll often go for the middle one. Shift Alt and click there, and it went all the way around there, all the way around the back, and all the way up here, and it split that, and it went into the back. And then I said, okay, I'm going to select there, that one, and that one, and that was it. And then for the chair, I just did each corner. Now I did 5 on this, so I chose the middle one. Shift Alt and click that. And the piece that where this edge would end, which was this, I said, okay, I'll put a seam there. So I had to select a few times, all the way around, like that, mark seam. Same thing on the back, all the way around, mark seam. And then again, like I said, in the corners, in the middle, there, down there, and on that one. And I did the same thing for the seat, which I may have lost those for some reason, so I'll redo that. So this is basically how I did that. Control E, mark seam. Let's get the underside with the big N gone. Control E, mark seam. So that goes all the way around. Now let's split it. I used 5, and if I didn't, it wouldn't have mattered. So choose the middle one. Choose the middle one. Choose the middle one. So I should have everything. So I'm going to press U, unwrap, and I'll get this. Now at this point, you can try to take some of this. I'm going to turn that off, actually. Do that again. Take some of this and see if you can straighten it. I'm going to try UV squares. That's a free add-on. You just search UV squares and install it. Let's see if it straightened it. Okay, it did straighten it. Sometimes it'll mess up and it won't. You could do that. Not too worried about any of the others. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to use UV Pack Master, rotation enable. That's probably fine. I may have to come back. I'm going to pack it like that. So I've got my desk and chair. So it was very simple unwrapping. Did it work? Was it the right way to do it? Well, let's go into Substance Painter and find out. So I'm going to just save the file again. And I'm going to export this. I'm going to come over here. I've already saved the smart material for the wood, not the metal. I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to go File, New. I'm going to switch this to OpenGL. And this is Desk Student. And it comes in. So how about we go Desk Student for a material for later on. And let's bake the mesh maps at 2K, uncheck ID and thickness. And that's good enough for what we want to do. I'm going to turn on anti-aliasing. Now, the only situation we may run into, like assuming this all works and the bake looks good, is the grain of the wood, which is not all that evident anyhow, may look different. It may run, this way on the top of the chair and this way on the bottom. And there's a couple of ways to solve it, but I find the easiest way is just go back to the UVs and figure out which one's going the wrong way and just flip it or rotate it. So let's give this a try using the wood smart materials. So come to smart materials and type in wood, and I'm looking for wood PAC. There it is. Throw that in, and this is what we have so far. And I don't have a problem with that seat at this point. All right. The only thing is this paint here. We could come into this paint and choose the dirt brush and do some more work based on the desk. Now, of course, we're going to put some metal on this in a moment, but you can just do some more painting and decide how much of that you want on this desk. So I'm just going to paint over a little bits here and there. I don't want too much. I do like that. I just want it to look a little disorganized and not too stylized. But that looks like dust, it looks like scratches, and just general wear and tear on these things in the apocalyptic environment. All right, fine. You could always use a crayon or a piece of chalk and write "help me" in the desk. All right, well, let's go with that. So there's our wood already done. And the next thing we need to do, of course, is that metal. So we'll type metal, iron old. I'm going to grab that. And I only want it on certain things. So add a black mask, go to projection. And we'll use mesh. And I'll just come in here and get these. Sometimes it's hard to tell what we've done. Those, that, is that it? Yeah, I think so. And there is my teacher desk. Okay. And yeah, you can always come back here to that paint and get rid of some more of this if you choose to do that. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's save that. Now, I haven't been upping the resolution, and I can do that. All right, I'll just quickly do that here. All right, so it looks even better at 2K, and that's what I would end up exporting as. I just haven't felt the need to do that, but we can do that, so I'll save that. All right, we're going to carry on now. So we've done that, Let's have a look at the bookcase. And for this one, I have already unwrapped. I've used Smart UV Project. All right, select Went U, Smart UV Project, and pack. And we've got it done. So very easy, because especially for these very box-like rectangular objects, you can do that. And I had a bevel on this, and I can tell which bevel I had. I had the, this is the one that from the modifier because of the way the bevel works. And so I just applied it, and then I unwrapped with Smart UV Project. And so let's take this and let's export this as an FBX. And let's create a new project here with the bookcase. Let's make sure that's saved. There it is. And I'll come over here. I'll call this bookcase. And we will bake the maps. So really having that smart material makes things very quick. And these are not complicated items to bake either, so the baking is fast as well. And Smart UV Project works on many of these. So I'll do that just to make it look a little bit better. We're ready to go. So we need our wood APC or PAC. Okay, and at this point you can choose if you need to or like. You can come in here on that paint layer. I mean, you can do a completely different one, but you can see there's my paint. And I'll come to the brushes and search for dirt brush. I'll use this brush and just get rid of some of this here and there. We'll be doing more painting for the walls. That's a little bit more specific. And that should be, we'll get some really neat effects with that. I can bring this up actually. Let's bring that to 2K and have a look at that. All right, so that's what it looks like. And yeah, not much to do really on this. Just do that kind of thing. What I could do as well is I could save this, and then I can make some small changes, so that the two bookcases aren't exactly the same. But I'm not too worried about that. So there is the bookcase. All right, let's come back here. And so we've done the teacher desk. We've done one of these, which of course I'll duplicate around. We've done a bookcase, and so let's have a look at just this item here, this like workstation here. And I've already unwrapped this, I guess. Did I? I did unwrap this. And what I did was I just I just selected the feet themselves. There's not even any seams on this. Selected the feet themselves, Control L, and then I went U, unwrap, and I basically got this, but they were a little bit bigger. Then I pressed Control I to select everything else. And of course, don't forget, I'm usually going merge by distance to check if I have straight vertices. And then I did U, Smart UV Project, and I got this. With all of it selected, I just made the feet things a little bit smaller. And I could, if I really wanted to, I could always take these things here. Control L, and move them out. I can make them bigger, or maybe I could go to individual origins and scale them. Yeah, they're overlapping there. I'll just move some of these guys just away from each other. And then grab these, just the ends of these things here. I could do something like that. That's fine. Anyhow, that's the whole thing there. All right. And don't forget to pack it. And we'll take this and we will export that. And what did I call it before? Work desk. Okay, I'll call it desk work. So they're all desk. Start with desk. Okay, desk work. All right, so let's do a new one here with OpenGL. Desk work. And there it is. Let's call it desk work. So when we export it, that will be the name of the material. And bake the mesh maps with the usual. Very easy, no changes to make except for unchecking those two. All right, the bake looks okay. All right, so again, Smart UV Project on these simple objects is doing just fine. So let's do that. Let's go and grab our wood. Okay, being very consistent along the way. I'll come back to that in a moment. Let's do our metal. Iron old. Black mask. Projection. And I'm going to want those and those, so the feet. And I'm also going to want these things in here. That one. And this one. Okay, so that's what that looks like. And now I can come in here to the edges, to that paint layer. Choose my dirt brush. Usually dirt 1 is what I will go for. And just tone down some of these edges. I like to leave some of them, mind you. Not too much of this stuff. Okay. Let's up the texture resolution to 2K. And have a look at this. There's the workstation. Now you might want to tone down the dirt on this one just because of how that looks. Let's see if I get rid of that. So you can always come in here for this one and decrease the dirt level. You know, that kind of thing. But I think it looks pretty good. And that's done, so I'm going to save it. All right, so we've done a lot of good stuff. We could quickly do a stool, and I think I'll leave it at that. We still have the door and the door frame and the windows. We'll come back and do that another time. So let's just focus on this one. And you will see some seams on this one very simply. All right, Shift Alt and click the top, Shift Alt and click the bottom, mark seam. Open it up somewhere right here. I chose an edge. You can choose any edge you want, like that. Control E, mark seam. That part's done. One seam on the inside of each of these cylinders, and just select it and you unwrap. And it's done. So that's it for that. So I'm going to export this as stool. And in Substance Painter, new OpenGL, select stool, not stool test, stool. There it is. Material is stool. Bake mesh maps at 2K. Might have wanted to use a subdivision on this. I mean, it's up to you. Okay, get rid of that. Come to Smart Materials and Wood. PAC. Throw that in. This is how the stool looks. Yeah, we'll get rid of some of that edge in a bit. Okay, let's also put metal for the legs, however. So come over here, metal. Iron old with a black mask and projection. Let's grab those 4. That's it. And then we'll come back to here on the paint layer with the dirt brush. I'm using the dirt brush a lot when I do the walls. X, and then just get rid of that some of that edge or most of it. It's alright to have a little bit of a highlight on it, but just look a little bit more broken down and in a real apocalyptic environment. If I don't have too much of that stylized kind of look. And that is it pretty much. And we can up the resolution on this one as well. And that's it. It's nothing thrilling to look at as a prop. Hopefully just in the scene it'll be okay. So I'll save that. And I'm pretty much done with Substance Painter for now. And so I'm just going to show you an image, if I can find it here. This collage, which shows the texturing of the teacher desk, the bookcase, and the student desk, and it shows you roughly where we're going with the walls. I may not use these bricks, but this is kind of the effect that we're going to be going for in the environment. All right, so you can see what these objects are, and we obviously textured a couple more than this in this video. All right, so we're going to move on with texturing the chalkboard and some whatever other assets are there. We've got the globe to do, we've got the chalkboard, we've got the door, and we'll eventually work on the big items, the wall, as I decide exactly how I want to go with this grunge kind of look. This is just a test. As you can see, all textures are whip. Okay, but we have decided that we're going to use this wood on these and this metal. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope that was reasonable for you to watch, and I hope you'll come back to the next video. All right, see you next time.